Hey up everyone and welcome to episode 62 of the Town Social. Sorry we're a bit later than planned, a few technical issues, but we're here now, ready to share in the joys of two victories for the Terriers against the Tykes. Personally, I had as much optimism for the game on Saturday as there is Wi-Fi at the John Smiths. I wanted a 4-4-2 formation and everything changing, and well, that's why Michael Duff's the expert and I'm just an idiot sat here wasting my time with two gentlemen talking absolute rubbish on a Wednesday evening instead of being with his wife and kids. But there we are. So the Terriers winning 2-0 against Barnsley and much needed. I thought overall started the game reasonably well. There was a little bit more optimism in the crowd, and as the game progressed, the Terriers took hold, and goals from Ben Wiles and David Kasumu capped off a decent performance to settle all our nerves after what's been a pretty torrid run, to say the least. Following that up with a, pretty routine 2-0 win in the Tin Pot Trophy against the same opposition, and all of a sudden, maybe we've turned a bit of the corner. My name's Nick Barlow. I'll be your host for this evening, and joining me as ever is Ian Kilroy and Gas K. Welcome, everybody. Please get your comments and your questions in as always, and we'll have a bit of a chat as we go through. Guys, let's start with the first game then. So there was a lot of pressure on this game. I was hearing talk of Duff out, of Cartwright out. It was all getting a little bit frantic. Fans panicking. It looked like the players' heads had gone with some of the performances on the pitch, and we didn't really know where this awful run was going to end. And then as they grew into the game, I thought actually it looked a better performance against Barnsley. It was more measured. We both set up 3-5-2, and I think we played the system better. I thought we were more aggressive. I thought we had a bit more energy. We had a bit more purpose in the passing. There's still some passing going astray, but overall we looked pretty comfortable, didn't we?
I think so. I mean, the negativity you're talking about, Duff out, Cartwright out, I think that was just us on our last podcast, wasn't it? I don't think it was anybody else. But it was a lovely. I think I sent a message to the WhatsApp group, didn't I? Said it was an absolutely perfect day for football. Was Saturday. It was a lovely autumnal sunny afternoon. The pitch looked really good. There was a little bit of a breeze. It was proper perfect football weather. So if you can't turn up in front of a decent crowd in a nice ground in that kind of weather and perform, you're going to struggle. And he made two changes, did Duff, didn't he? He brought in Hodge and Longvike. I think a lot of people have been calling for Hodge to be back in after the previous two games where he didn't get a look in. And I thought that him and Kasumu, the energy that they brought to the midfield, allowed Wiles to actually perform a bit better. It's probably Wiles' best game. I think he played better than better than Peterborough, actually, I would say. I would have said. And the changes that Duff had made, I half expected him to have Evans in instead of Wiles against Barnsley, because he was a bit like, I don't know if you saw it lineup, it was like Land of the Giants. They were absolutely enormous. And we all looked about 5'4" as they walked past. But it was a much better showing all round. I mean, I will caveat everything we're going to talk about by saying I didn't think Barnsley were great. They looked like a team going through transition. I think they looked a bit lacked in confidence as well. And as we got a bit of a grip of the game, they seemed to win, because they started all right and they had the first real chance. The one that there was a free kick, then Hodge side the bloke down, they had a free kick, and then it looked like Chapman made a bit of a meal of it. From where I sit in the upper tier, I wasn't really sure what he was playing at, but when you watch the replay from behind the goal, it actually takes quite a wicked deflection, and it's a decent save for him to shovel it round the post. And then their man got a free header at the front post on the resulting corner. That could easily have crept in. But we sort of got a grip after that. And I thought after that, really, Barnsley drifted out of the game for the rest of it, really, for me. But I guess Ian will have a view on the formation and whether we managed to just, because I thought we tweaked it at that point, but whether we did and whether we got a grip from that point in, really.
I think he changed it from the off to me, guys. I've gone over this, obviously I double dip on certain other podcasts as well, and we've been over it there, in that Duff's persistence to play Evans and Wiles together just hasn't worked at all for me. If a team likes to play out from the back and we high press, it has worked against Peterborough and Bolton, but most other games it's just failed over and over again. And he made a big change to me, the lineup that we went with on Saturday was a bit more of a 3-2-3-2, where you've got two defensive midfielders. And not only defensive midfielders, he's gone for mobile defensive midfielders, Hodge and Kasumu, who can run an awful lot, and they're gonna cover that entire width of the pitch, right? But him allowing that extra protection over the back three means the wing backs can get a little bit higher, because a good defensive central midfielder can kind of sweep a little bit for that ball over the top if you've got a bit of pace. So we took that totally away from Barnsley. Not that they tried that, to be fair. But that's, to me, what the massive change was. And it doesn't sound very much, just moving one attacking midfielder into a defensive midfielder position. But what that did was change the entire control of the game for me. And from the off, that first 15, 20 minutes, I always think they're a bit different. I think we spoke about it last time. The frantic. And then it settles down. And as soon as the game settled down, we took control and never really looked under any sort of pressure. And to me, it was entirely down to having that extra defensive midfielder in there, because it also allowed Wiles. I remember you guys, I thought Evans would have been the guy. He's kind of been better up until Saturday. But it just shows you, when Wiles or Evans is giving that bit, coming on to Tuesday, Evans kind of did what Wiles did on Saturday, against a lesser quality Barnsley. But that 10, when they're on their own, are an absolute nightmare for anyone to defend against, because if they roam to the left, they've got to shift their entire formation to follow him. And Town just did that really, really well. The protection in the midfield helped everything out. And I think Matt Pearson as well has been the best defensive asset we've had. It's okay, you can go with Longvik, you can go with Spencer, who is getting better and better, as he has done in his Town career, in that he might have a first poor game in a new position or in a new system, but he doesn't half improve game on game. And he's getting better and better and better. And again, that right centre-back position, he looked good. He looked solid. Maybe it's Pearson next to him, but I think from the back to the front, we were so much more solid. It allowed Sorensen to play as nearly like a winger. It's just so high. We look a total different outfit playing like that. The caveat is Barnsley played a 3-5-2 as well, and their form this season is pretty terrible. They beat, I think, Lincoln away from home in the second game of the season. But apart from that, they've played dross, or as we'd expect at the end of the season to be teamed at the bottom half. So their position going into this was a little bit fraudulent, is probably the wrong word, but it's shadows and mirrors kind of thing. But we didn't have control that game. And to me, obviously we haven't broken get down the game entirely, but it was the most controlled game of the season. And the best win for me, regardless of how well it looked at Peterborough and at Bolton, the way we played and the way we set up was a bit of a statement, I think, for how these next few games can go for us.
It wasn't a coincidence, though, that we had, as you say, both Sorensen and Miller were much more involved, and that we had a better performance and a better result. That formation relies on them two blokes being the key, really. And yeah, like I said at the beginning with you, I thought Kasumu's and Hodges' energy made all the difference on the day. And by the way, I was going to say that, but I was really impressed with Matt Pearson playing in the middle of the three. I thought he was really calm. He just dealt with what he had to deal with, and to a point they were quite happy to let Matty Pearson have the ball as well, thinking he wasn't really going to help us. But for once, because he had Hodge and Kasumu playing a bit deeper, he actually had a bit of movement in front of him. When Hellick and Lees have played there, you've only had one in front, and it's been really difficult. All they've got is balls into the corner, whereas Pearson actually had people coming short and giving him an option. So it definitely made a difference. I thought Pearson played really well on the day, and I thought as captain, he actually played like a captain on Saturday for me, because he took young lads either side of him, and you wouldn't have known, would you?
No, you wouldn't. And it did feel to me, though, Duff's been forced into this change. Now, dropping Hogg is massive. No one ever does that. And to put Hodge in there, who a few games ago, to everyone else's eye, looked like he did really well, and then didn't get the start following I can't remember which game that was, where he was benched afterwards, after he'd done okay in the games prior to it. That's a big call by Michael Duff. And then to change it to that two defensive midfielders, which is not the system he wants to play. It's an admission that what he was trying wasn't working. And all I kind of asked for, and most of us asked for, was something new, because what we'd tried over and over again just failed over and over again. On Saturday, it was very, very different. And that protection, again, from those defensive midfielders, allowed Miller and Sorensen not to have to worry. I've played wing-back, not at that level before. Absolutely not. But at a competent, semi-professional level, it's the hardest position I've ever played. I hate it. Absolutely hate it, because you always feel like you don't get forward in time, and then if you get there and the ball turns over, you've got to get back. You always feel like you can't catch your breath, and you're never in that position where you feel like you should be. You're forever panicking. But when you've got cover from the centre midfielders like Town had on Saturday, it really does just give you a little bit more confidence and allows you to focus a bit more going forward. And Sorensen especially, it's a total different beast. And he looked like that play we had at the beginning of the season, where we were pressing teams, having the ball in the right areas of the pitch. And you're like, why is he with us? He looks too good for us. When we had those few games we had to defend, we found out why. But when you've got the support that we had and the structure that we had, it just allows everyone else to step up. And when Bojan Radulevic's actually looking like an absolutely okay League One striker, you know it's going all right.
I thought first half, there were still a few passes going astray, but we looked more dynamic. You're right, guys. I think what Kasuma and Hodge do bring here is that dynamism, that movement. And I think that's what we've missed. And players like Ben Wiles, when you've got players like that, it just creates that. It allows him to create that bit of space in behind it. It gives him a bit of a free rein. And when he does that, I think that he's at his best. I did say a couple of pods ago, when he's got better players around him making runs, I think he'd be a better player. And I think it's shown that on Saturday. And same with Owens, as you said. I think, Bojan, I want him to score. I've said it before. I really hope he starts scoring, because I think he is playing better. I think his link-up play was good. And I think he's been unlucky, to be fair. I think he's had a few chances and keeper's made a save or just gone wide. And we'll talk about his contribution last night later. But Ben Marshall and Marshall as well, he has that header in the first half and really, really good save from their keeper. He was really unlucky. Again, Ben Wiles, I think it was, with the ball in, wasn't it? And he just gets a flick header on it and the keeper just makes a one-handed save. And then, but the longer it goes on, lads, you're just thinking again, oh no, we're having these chances, it's not going in. And all it takes is one chance for Barnsley, doesn't it? And I think they had a chance in second half where they put it over. And maybe, if that goes in, it's a different game. But sometimes you need just that little bit of luck. And then missing that chance, maybe that was a bit of a turning point, because then we go down the right-hand side. I mean, it's good, to be fair, for Ladapo. I've not been his biggest fan since he's been here. I've been really disappointed with him. But it's a good 1-2 with Kane down the right-hand side. And the ball gets whipped in. And, I mean, Ben Wiles, he's poor defending in a way from Barnsley. He's tired defending. He has so much space in the box. He has time to sort of control it. But what a great finish that is into the top corner.
Well, I mean, we missed a few chances at first. Their keeper made a couple of good saves. And boys, there was another one as well where I think Marshall got played in down that we did to them what people normally do to us. We played the ball in behind the centre halves. Marshall ran in behind, pulled it back from the dead ball line, and Bojan, for me, took probably one or too many touches. He probably should have just hit it first time, and he might have scored. That there was a couple of other ones, which one was a P roller from Marshall. And I thought first half we were unlucky not to be 1-0 up. I think if I had my only frustration in the first half really was that, good as Sorensen was, he did turn down quite a few opportunities to get an early ball in, and Miller seemed obsessed with beating his man 4 and 5 times, where some of the quality when he's played the ball in deep and early from the wing has been exceptional. So that was probably a bit of a frustration for me, that we seem to want to try and get all the way in. And in fact, that the corner from the chance you were talking about, Nick, that came from Bojan actually finally getting behind the bloke and pulling the ball back. But yeah, I was chuckling at Herbie Kane when he came on, and obviously he got the assist for Wiles as goalie. Barnsley fans were giving him some real stick. I mean, real stick. He got himself a stupid. He came on 71 minutes, got himself booked on the 73rd minute, where an absolutely crazy tackle went flying in on the bloke, and rightly got a yellow. And I did message Connor and said, he's either going to score the winner or get sent off here, this bloke. And of course, he didn't score the winner, but he popped up with a really good assist. And now the link up with the Ladapo down the right hand side there was it was really cute. He managed to get away from their defender, pick out Wiles, and it was a brilliant finish. And you're right, he'd lost that Luke O'Connell, who was Barnsley's best player on the day, I thought, but he managed to find a bit of space away from him, and it's a lovely finish. He does what often town players don't do. He took a touch, steadied himself, and he absolutely buried it. Whereas normally we get people who lash at it, and the next thing you know, it's hitting people in the stand behind the goal. But at that point, I'd start to wonder, because I think was it 83 minutes? I think we scored the goal. Yeah. I'd started to worry that we'd run out of schemes, because about just before Kane came on, Darren Clark made 3 or 4 changes, and they went to a 4-2-3-1, and they'd started to get into the game. And I'm thinking, I can see what's coming here. Barnsley going to get a goal, and then for them, it's a perfect away performance, isn't it? You've ridden out a storm. You've changed your formation with 20 to go. That started to have some impact. I think they brought the number 11 on, the lad who got booked for diving. I can't remember his name. And he caused us some real problems. His pace and his direct running really started to cause us problems. But the goal came at a brilliant time. And it was a brilliant goal and a well-deserved goal, I would say. But I'd started to fear the worst. Between sort of 70 and 80 minutes, I had 1-0 Barnsley written all over it. So you have to give the players the due, because that's what we've criticised them for, isn't it? That they've got to that stage of a game, they felt themselves under pressure, and they folded like a pack of cards. And credit where credit due, they didn't do that on Saturday.
No, it's a massive step forward, isn't it? We were questioning how many good second halves we've had this season, and we could count them on one hand. I know we haven't played that many games, but not far off one finger being able to count them. But it was much better. It felt just that second half was good. And yeah, guys, you're right. There was that little spell when they made the subs where you kind of panic. But maybe that's more on town fans panicking, because the players themselves didn't, did they? They looked absolutely fine. With the Wiles goal, there was so much to love about it. We went long from a free kick, and now in that second half, we started going long quite a bit. There were a few. We had another chance where I think I don't know if it's Chapman's kicked it along to Sorensen direct. He's won the header. Radulovic in the back post and could have lobbed the goalie. Radulovic could have had 2 or 3 goals before we went 1-0 up on Saturday. He could have. And how often have we ever said he's created so many chances? It just don't happen. But he's starting to get in the right positions. And I think when we play further upfield, that's what you kind of get with strikers. Because then on Tuesday night, Ladapo looked all right and all, which we'll get to in time. But Radulovic is getting the right kind of service now for the first time since he's probably been here. And to me, he looked like a bona fide number 9. He needs a goal. And I think if that first goal comes, and come on, I'll be honest, I thought there wasn't even a player in there at all. And I'll happily admit myself wrong when he scores a couple, because I do think it's on its way. Although now we're getting Ward and Healy back, maybe it changes a little bit again. But he looks like a presence. I think when Marshall doing all that hard running, Marshall, I love him. I absolutely love him. A bit like Benicofobia used to be for us in that he never scored the actual goals. And okay, stature-wise, they're very different. But the effort he puts in, it's all wide stuff where you're not going to score directly from it, but he's willing to do it. And our certain strikers, Ladapo wouldn't really do that generally. Did it yesterday. Karoma didn't really do that kind of. He's not. He's playing like a Sheringham style, like all effort for somebody else to score the goals. And for a young lad in the modern game, that's not too common for a guy who's small and pretty quick. Normally, it's a bigger guy. It's a little bit of a chunkier or a good aerial kind of guy. And he's not that, but it's really helping us. And it really helped us on Saturday. But for the goal, the part I really liked about it was, again, it was a free kick we went long from. Again, it's a shift in tactics because Duff's seeing what Barnsley aren't good at, and we've gone for it. The first header back, they win, but then we pick up the second ball. And it's Herbie Kane picking up a second ball. Now, he don't do that. Herbie Kane, he's not again, not built to kind of pick up that first ball back from the defence, but he did, and straight away he gets it, and he knows they're in trouble, and he's on his way. Ladapo comes short. Again, I didn't think that Ladapo had that in his repertoire. I didn't think that was him. I thought the way he played was more Fox in the box, let's go forward. But he's dropped shallow. Nice little turn around the corner. Kane's on his way. Wiles dropped back to the edge of the box, as Evans and Wiles have done at the beginning of the season, where we have Sorensen running down the wing and pulling it back. That plays there again. And Wiles is cool. He's taken 2 touches and then put it in the top corner. If he misses, though, we're criticising him because Ladapo was next to him, free. And if he passes to him, even Ladapo can't miss from that point. He's 2 yards out and it's a tap in. So, to be fair, Wiles had to score because we'd all be absolutely slating him if he didn't. But I agree with Andrew Moore there that Herbie Kane, just that little bit of quality, just that little bit of quality in the final third. And now he's playing as that defensive midfielder again now. Even when he came on, he was a little bit deeper. But what that does is it means he can go forward if he wants to, but if he needs that rest, it can sit a little bit deeper. And I think that'll really help Herbie Kane this season. He's not expected to smash forward every time we get it if he can play a little bit more reserved. But in those moments where you need somebody to have a little bit of a calm head when attacking, he's the guy you want on the ball so you can play into the Wiles of the team, the Karoma of the team, and to get those goals. And I thought, for us 83 minutes in, like you say, guys, it's rare this season that we've won a game at that point. In fact, we haven't. So this is the one, and it's such a big change from the form that we were in going into this 70 feet in 8 to put a performance in like that. It's just very, very well done and quite surprising. But I was happy with Kane and Ladapo's impact when they came off the bench, and it's the first time really this season anyone's come off the bench and had an impact as well. So fair play to Duff for getting that right as well.
It's looking like the Hodge injury is going to be a few weeks now, doesn't it? So from what they're saying, 3 to 4 weeks. So he's likely to miss a couple of games. So seems though you, James, and Andrew with a new Herbie Kane fan club, the 3 of you. who's playing then? So because I doubt he's going to. It doesn't look like he's going to make the Bristol game by the sound of what they're saying. So
Hogg will just come in for Hodge, surely.
Now, Kasumu's not going anywhere. So is it going to be Hogg or is it going to be Kane?
You'd have Kasumu and Hogg surely at that defensive midfielder role. You have to have him in there. I don't think there's that much of a drop off from Hodge to Hogg anyway. If Hogg's playing with somebody else next to him, as long as he doesn't go too deep. So to me, that's fine. It's just Kane. I just don't know how you fit him in it. Really, I think he's going to have to be an impact sub for the moment. Duff spoke about it, didn't he, in his press conference going into the game that. They weren't happy with how Kane came back in pre-season. I think I can't remember the terminology perfectly, but he definitely looks like he's getting there now, and he looks sharper and good on the ball. I really enjoyed the Barnsley fan booing him. And going into Tuesday night, that was the best part of Tuesday night's game. There's 2 fans from Barnsley, but they wouldn't even fill that train that takes 4 days to get from Barnsley to Huddersfield. But even still, they booed him from the first minute until his last. and I, as a football fan purist, I just love it. Absolutely loved it, especially that he won the game for us on Saturday.
Just a shame we didn't score in front of the Barnsley fans, because I'm 100% convinced he'd have been knee sliding across the front of Barnsley, giving him the rods as he went past, wasn't it? 100%.
It's great, and I love it. I just love that. It's so refreshing when second half we've been awful, haven't we? Let's be honest. Second half we've been utter shite. Most of the second halves we've just not turned up. So to see us, and the pressure was on. The pressure was on in that game. So to see us not going into a shell, going forward, we had 17 shots that game. So all right, only 7 on target, but we were going forward. We were committed. We kept going forward. We didn't start sitting back the longer it went on. We were actually trying to win the game. And a goal like that, when you see it bursting down the right-hand side, getting a great ball and a great finish like that, you just think, oh, yeah, finally, these are the sort of goals that we're praying for. Start of the season that would be scoring.
Does it get the boxers twitching, Nick? Is that what you're saying?
Of course it does, mate. These are the moments, mate. This is what I was hoping for. Start of the season that would be, with the kind of players we've got, these are the moments I was hoping we'd be able to conjure. We've not seen it enough this season. And what pleased me even more is we go a goal up, and instead of sitting back like what we have done, because I was sat there thinking, here we go then. We're going to sit back. We're going to champ everyone behind the ball. We're going to be under the cosh now for the rest of the game. And, we're in the 95th minute and still going forward. Their defender, it's a poor header out of play. It gets picked off by Kasuma and he just twats it into the back of net. It's a brilliant goal, isn't it? It's an absolutely brilliant goal. And place just erupts. And was it relief? Partly, probably, but it's great to actually see us still going forward and pushing for that second goal, not being content with just the one goal. And that's the difference between winning and drawing games.
As you say, Nick's in the middle of their half for a throw-in. It was our throw-in, wasn't it? Only just over the halfway line. So you got long back lobbing it long down the line. So normally you would have had the wing back taking the throw, not the centre back. I mean, as you said, the header was pathetic, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know what he was doing. And then it was a good finish. I'm not sure keeper shouldn't have saved it, but you pays your money, takes your choice, don't you? If you don't shoot, you don't score. So fair play to Kasumu. I'd agree with that. I think we had 17 shots, but we also had 17 corners. Normally, say we have 17 corners in a game, it's an exaggeration of the fact that you had some corners and didn't do it with them. But we really did have 17 corners, and we didn't really. I guess you can in Huddersfield's defence say they were, as I said at the start, they were on land of the Giants. They had some monster centre halves, so maybe it was difficult. But we did persist on putting the same ball in at the front post, or then occasionally the back post. I think we tried a couple of shots, but really could do with some time spent on set piece taking and conversion, because we don't seem to be able to do it.
Oh, we'll get there with it. It's just, I think the biggest thing for me in that game is the adaptation to League One football. I know Michael just coached at this kind of level most of his career, but now we're going like long throws, like you say, from Lonvik down the side. Just simple ways to win games at this level. 17 corners. Normally we're pretty good with Hellick and Pearson, aren't we? To be fair, if we've got that many corners, expect us to score one, and I'm sure we'll get back there in time. But just the change we had on Saturday from the start, to me, says an awful lot about how Duff sees us, and that his plan A hasn't quite worked out. And this isn't a radical change in that it's a new 4-4-2. Absolutely not. It's a bit like plan A part 2. But there's something in it. And we control the game against a team. Okay, I don't think they're going to be there at the playoffs at the end of the season. I think they're going to be 14th around there, Barnsley. They're still going to be good enough. They've got Keeler Dunn, who I thought was shite after bigging him up in every preview. Yeah. And we've had going into it, thinking, we could have gone in and get him. And the Kane's left and they've brought in Keeler Dunn as an upgrade. It didn't look like that on Saturday. But then again, that's what happens, I think, when the team you're playing in doesn't play at the right half of the pitch. And our Barnsley didn't play in our half. And because of that, Keeler Dunn looked awful. And that's why I've always had faith in Wiles, in that I think if he plays in a team where we are up at that end, he will create chances and score goals. If Keeler Dunn can't in that system Barnsley did, which is a very similar system to what we play in, it's no surprise Wiles can't when it's certain kind of games and styles. But it was just good. It just feels like we're adapting to the league. And I felt the first few games we won, they were built on sand a little bit in that, they were great. They were high impact, Jekyll and high performances, weren't they? Week in, week out. I were after a gritty draw this weekend. I'd have been happy with a 1-1 if we could have fought till the end. And whilst we got better than a draw, I still felt like we fought for it. And that is the biggest confidence boost I think the team could have had. And the second goal, like I say, from Kasim, I love a ball. I love a goal from a long throw. Honestly, it's my favourite kind of goal. That's like my team, my boys, we play like that. We've got a guy, Cam, who can throw the ball literally onto the back post from basically anywhere in the final 2/3 of the pitch. That's all we do. We just ping it in because it's awful to defend against. Might not be great for the purists watching. I understand that. But just that fast tempo, long ball, long football, you need an element of that. You don't want to play it all the time in League One. Absolutely not. We don't have to. We're better than that. But there are moments and times where you have to. And when it's the end of a game and you're winning by a goal, that's the right time to bring it out because it breaks the other team down. And it did on Saturday. And well played Town for that.
I'm all in, lads. I was ultra critical on the last pod. Gaz is laughing. I was ultra negative because I just felt rubbish after, because I couldn't see in the performances where the improvement was going to come from because we were playing the same way, same style, making the same mistakes, and just the same second half of boring, tepid football, not creating anything. And I thought with the pressure was on, and I thought, we're going to crumble here. But fair, I've got to hold my hands up and say fair play. I didn't expect us to come out like that. And yeah, all right. I mean, I've seen, some of the pods, some of the sort of more generalised League One pods criticising it, saying it was two poor sides, really. And I'm rubbish, mate. I'm not having it. I thought we played really well. I thought we took the game to them. And I think off the back of those other, if you put it into context of the run we'd been on and the pressure Duff and the team was under, I thought we were absolutely brilliant. And I'm all for them goals. I'm absolutely loving it. I say I was anyone that I could show it to after the game on before I said, check this goal out here from Ben Wiles. My wife at home, I think sometimes my wife just despairs at me because she's at home, she's at home in bed, Nick, come to bed, and she's there. I say, hang on, love, no, come here, come and look at this goal here. Forget that. Come and look at you. He gets the ball on the right hand side. He goes down and drills it across, and Wiles he pops it in top. Put your top on. Come here, look at this. He bangs it in top corner. Go and have a look. And even she, she didn't say out. She just walked out. I think that's because, what can you say, mate? When you see a goal like that, there are no words, mate.
She's left speechless, Nick.
She's left speechless, mate. Yeah. But that's what it does to you. When you see goals like that and you just think, this is what we're capable of. But we've not shown it. We've not shown it for so many games. And why? Why can we do that one game and yet look absolutely awful the next? And that's what we've got to sort. That's the, if the pessimist in me can find some shred of criticism, it's, can we take it now into the Bristol game after the break? Can we replicate that performance and push on? Because if we lose to Bristol, it's all been for naught, hasn't it? And that's where my little reservation is, that I know we can play way better than we have been. And we saw that against Barnsley. Now, can we continue it? That's the question.
I think we can, Nick. Sorry, guys. I'll just...
Let me do this. Well, I'm really old. If I don't say it, I'm going to forget. Two really quick things. One, I thought Barnsley were pretty average, right? And we took advantage of that. The second thing I will say is the League One by Birmingham is full of average teams, and we're one of them, by the way, most of the time. So, I mean, we've absolutely nothing to fear in this league. If we turn up and play half decent and give 100% effort, we'll win a damn sight more games than we have been doing, because the league is full of teams like us and Barnsley. Games are there to be won week in, week out.
I forgot what I'm going to say now, guys. It's gone. The thing is, For me, it's that we controlled the game and we didn't give Barnsley the ball. Every other game that we've struggled in second halves is we've given the other team a few chances, moments of hope, and they've built into it. They've got confidence. We strangled the game on Saturday. We controlled the game. And it just stops the other team from building that head of steam where they ever go in that second half. And again, I'll go on about it forever. 2 defensive midfielders changed the outlook of this season on Saturday. And I just think that's what we'll go with at Bristol. And honestly, from here on out, until we get tested again on that kind of long ball over the wing-backs' heads, I don't think Barnsley really did that. But then I don't know if they didn't do it because we had Spencer and Lonvike and it was never going to work. I don't actually know. And we will see that at some point. And maybe that is Bristol. But that's the only remaining question for me. I just feel like the pace that we had, the ability, the agility, that's what Duff went with. That's why Hodges in there over Hogg, extra agility. Kasumu's there, extra agility and drive getting forward, up and back. And the same with the wide centre-backs. That's what we've shifted to, and it really made a difference. And I think that will change how we go.
How good's Kasumu been, by the way, over these last few games? I think he's been outstanding. I think he's
always been good, Nick. He's always been good. I think Kasumu's downside has always been his final ball. He does lose possession quite a bit sometimes with passes that you'd think were quite simple. But everything else in his game is fantastic, isn't it?
And his touch can be poor at times. That's why he's had so many yellow cards. Most of the yellow cards are because he's miscontrolled the ball and it gets away and he lunges in. But I think it's also. I mean, I'm not a stat man, but it must be close to his longest run of games back to back in the first team while he's been with us because he's been injured. He's up against Hogg. He's never really had a chance to be told, "There you go, kid. You're the man. Away you go. The place is yours to lose," rather than the other way around. So maybe there's an element of that because Andrew's talking about confidence and mindset, and I would think if Kasumu doesn't feel confident now after the fact that all right, we lost at Birmingham and the previous, but he was the highlight in both the previous 2 games where we lost. Yeah, so he can come away feeling like he made a contribution and put a shift in. So
he's first man on team sheet for me in centre midfield. If you're asking who's playing any of you 3, Kasumu was number 1 before everyone.
Yeah.
We need it. We need that dynamism in the midfield. It makes a massive difference. I don't think it's any coincidence that since he's been playing, we have started to look more like a unit. And then we go on to the next game. I mean, yeah, you can argue it's a nothing really. But it does matter, and again, I'm doing a U-turn because at the start of the season, I said I don't care about these competitions and it doesn't matter. But, look at what happened when we played Walsall. To me, that was a turning point. Losing from 2 up, that completely changed things. And, momentum's important. I don't care if we win this thing, the cup, really. I think it's a waste of time. But when you've been on a run like we've been on, going off the back of a good performance and result, you want to go into this game with a strong side, get another result, and then you're going into the international break off the back of 2 wins, going into potential winnable game against Bristol at home. So I was really encouraged by the side that he put out. It was a strong side. It shows, I think, the level of depth we've got in relative terms. When you look at the squad now compared to what it has been, I think we've got reasonable squad depth. And Barnsley, I mean, we've got to caveat with the fact that Barnsley they had a lot of youngsters in there, and I mean they offered nothing. I think they had 1 shot on goal the entire game compared to our 24. It was pretty much complete dominance from us. But you can only beat what's in front of you. And to be honest, I thought, it was so comfortable. My only criticism was that it should have been 3 or 4. Other than that, I think it was a pretty comprehensive, comfortable performance and no injuries either, which is always good.
Do you reckon that's one of the worst performances you've seen a team put in at the Town Ground? For me, it is. They didn't even. I reckon you could have got 11 lads from the 11 Barnsley fans that turned up. I know they were quite. Actually, to be fair, just as a serious note, I thought there were quite a lot of Barnsley fans for how crap the game was going to be, because 2,000 people in the stadium, as Lee Morris said today, I think it's the lowest attended competitive game at the new stadium we've had, and there were quite a few from Barnsley, weren't they? But you could have got 11 lads from the back of there. I think could have put more effort in. They looked awful. Their intensity was non-existent. John Russell, who was once in a playoff final with us, how?
I said that. I said to him, I don't remember. I don't remember him being that terrible. He was absolutely dire. You can see why he's nowhere near their first team.
Yeah, do you know, like when people talk about pants down when it comes to transfers? Honestly, how we ever got anything for John Russell is unbelievable. And like, he's a lovely guy. I've met him before at a bonfire, funnily enough, in Elland a couple of years ago. Lovely guy. But when it comes to playing on a pitch, there's just games where he just doesn't look interested whatsoever. And it's strange because he had that little run with us at the end of the season under Carlos. And he changed the dynamic of our team. He did. We got much better with him on. He scored an amazing accidental kind of chip over goal. I can't remember who we were against at home. But they looked awful, Barnsley. I don't understand, though. I thought you could only make so many changes for one of these games. I didn't know you could. I think they had 10 changes, Barnsley. I thought you could keep 7 in. I thought there was a limit on that.
I think they dumped that a couple of seasons ago.
Did they? Okay, is it for the League Cup? It's a limited amount.
I think so.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, well, regardless, the treble's still on, boys. We're still in League One. We're still at FA Cup. We've sorted out our formation issues now, and we're flying. And we've knocked Barnsley out, a local derby. We've knocked them out. We've been really upset going home. I've been onto the Barnsley. I love going onto forums of other teams. Not when we lose, because I'm not interested in them gloating. Everyone's best team in the world. But like this podcast now for us, where we're saying we're amazing. But when they lose, it's fantastic. And Barnsley fans are now having an existential crisis over not being able to get away from 3-5-2 because they've got no players that can play anything other than a 3-5-2, which is kind of like the mirror image of us, isn't it? But like in reverse, in that we don't have all the players to play 3-5-2. We've only got Miller and Sorensen that can play wingers because obviously they're at the end of this transition we're going into. And they were awful. I felt really sorry for Barnsley fans. And it's rare that happens, but they were shocking. They were absolutely shocking. And now it does show how good our squad depth is. I don't think we've got those superstars like Birmingham have that are going to drag you out of the division, not on their own, but with not too much support. The quality of our first 22, I don't think there's much difference between our strikers. I don't think anyone stands out apart from Josh Koroma, obviously. But everyone else is quite equal. And our midfielders, we've got to get it right. But between Wiles and Evans, very similar kind of level of player. And then you've got Kasumu and Hogg and Hodge and these similar things. But the depth is great. And I think when you're going into a 46 game season and you're in extra cups like we're in now, in this tough division where the ground gets boggier when it gets to December and January and injuries pile up, we've got the depth I think we need to do well at that time of the year. Because Barnsley's depth, if that's what they've got, it's embarrassing. They were shocking. They wouldn't win a game. That team that Barnsley put out wouldn't win a game in League One. They wouldn't. They were awful. And okay, we controlled it again like we did on Saturday, but even more so. It just felt the confidence was there again. And we've been a Jekyll and Hyde team and we have to stop being that. And to have 2 games in a row, is this the first time we've ever podcasted on 2 wins in a row? It's probably close.
Yeah, I think so.
No wonder Nick's so excited.
That's it. But it's just nice to see it. But I thought Barnsley were awful. You can only beat what's in front of you. And there were a moment at the end of that game where it's 1-0 and you're thinking, if we don't win here, if they managed to get a last-minute equaliser, I actually would have thought that would have been the biggest robbery I've seen ever watching town, either for us or against us. To not win that game in 90 minutes would have been unbelievable. But there were a comment earlier on from JG828 in regards to the poor finish in both games. Yeah, but the problem is we don't really create the kind of chances we've had in the last 2 games. We haven't really created up until now. All the other chances we've had have been fast, counter-attacking football. And we're chopping and changing strikers all the time. I think you need to give Radulovic 4 or 5 games in this where we can create a few extra chances for him. Because he will score. I'm sure he'll score. Ladapo, I think he's the same against Barnsley. Talk about Jekyll and Hyde performances for Town. Ladapo, oh my goodness. The work he was putting in to create his own chances was brilliant. But then when it comes to his final effort, for a guy that's supposed to be quite proficient at this level, well, it was something to be questioned there.
Well, weirdly, I mean, between you and Mark Harrison, you stole on what I was going to say about that game on Tuesday. It was even more, as you're rightly saying, we were even more in control of that game than we were the game on Saturday. And I think I was quite impressed. There was a young lad playing left wing back who was up against Sorensen. I thought had a really good first 45 minutes actually for Barnsley. Gent, I think his name was. He stopped him playing a bit. And actually the big lad who got sent off, Pines, I thought at times he showed a couple of good touches. But other than that, the others didn't look like they were ours. So like the guy who played up front, Humphreys, who played on side, he looked like a bloke that wants to be anywhere else but on that pitch at that time. And Barnsley created no. I mean, they were, and I thought we were doggy, but your conversation about the chances, Ian, had got me thinking earlier about it because we've got the highest XG balls. Yeah, lovely. But you can tell by the number of corners we created, 26 corners against Barnsley in 2 games. Shows that actually the shots we're having, we're actually attacking we're clearly more effective. We're in the box. We're much more dangerous. Otherwise, you're not getting those set play opportunities as a consequence of defending. So, I think we've looked much better. The 2 goals were crackers. I thought that the first goal was a really good goal. I've been quite critical of Bojan, as you know, but he made a bit of space and it was a really lovely pick out. He spotted Ladapo. It wasn't an aimless ball. It was a lovely pass and then a really cool finish. Ladapo steered it into the net under the keeper. It was a really good finish. And then the second goal, I think Ward was offside, by the way, but the lines person was so far behind. They were so quick, she couldn't keep up. Iopenda was away and it was a brilliant ball in from Iopenda. And yeah, taking Mark's point, that's exactly what I thought. That was a brilliant cameo. Tom Iopenda. He came on 70 minutes or so, and he looked the full. He was fast. He was mobile. And I know he's played a team who couldn't even be asked to tackle. I don't think, but he got that lad sent off. He got him behind. The bloke couldn't catch him. Stupid foul and a red card, and then an absolutely top draw ball in for Danny Ward. Even Danny Ward couldn't miss, although I think the town Twitter was trolling us by saying Danny Ward does what Danny Ward does. So the first response was, "What, get injured?" Which I thought was a bit harsh, but it was a tidy enough finish, and it was a comfortable end to what was probably a really comfortable evening for town, and as easy as it's going to get, and it keeps that door open, and we've still got a door into Wembley, as you say, treble still on. We've just got to beat Man United under 21s, who've already beaten both Barnsley and Doncaster, by the way. So we're going to have to do some giant killing to get ourselves through to the next round in the last game. So maybe we'll get a bigger crowd this time. Maybe you'll be bothered to go this time, Ian.
Yeah, maybe. And no, probably not. To be fair, I commented prior to this recording, didn't I? That is there anything more depressing than playing the same team at home 4 days apart? Even if you win them both, it's just depressing facing them again, going down like when we played Charlton 48 times in a row a few years ago, didn't we? I actually think playing an under 21s team as an actual professional competitive game for us as our first team when we were in the Premier League a few years ago, that's more depressing actually. So I was wrong there. I'll admit my own weakness. But Tom Iopenda, I thought he was fantastic when he came on. Like you say, to get them when we were attacking him when he got the red card, he's actually instigated the first press. And I don't know if who's played him in. Was it Healy that played him at that point, or was it Turton? I can't actually remember who it is. It's a lad with red boots anyway, but it's too blurred on the highlights to see who it is. But as soon as he's pressed him first and he sensed that the ball from the Barnsley guy is not perfectly at it, he's set off. He's gone. He's on his way. And now he's barely played first team level. He's not at this, but he knew straight away to go. And okay, that Barnsley didn't offer very much, but he just that breaking the lines from a midfielder isn't too common. And he's fast. He's a fast runner. He went direct, and it was a stupid sending off though, wasn't it? Why has he done that? But he wasn't really going to. I don't think Iopenda were going to score from there. I don't think we're going to create a goal score, too much of a goal scoring chance, because I think Pines would have been able to do enough. But he just shoved him in his back. How stupid can he be?
The ref gave a red, to be honest. I
thought they were enough cover. I thought it'd be a yellow.
Yeah, but it was. Do you know what though? He deserves it for how stupid it was. He just shoved him in his back for no reason. He's absolutely mental, and nothing I think typifies that Barnsley performance than that sending off. It's so stupid. And if it were one of our guys, we'd be going mental about it right now. We would be. And it would just, but that's what Barnsley were at, to be fair, all day on Tuesday night. And I think Ward were offside as well. When he scored, even commentator, I think, obviously we watched it at home, and the commentator's like, Ward, he scored, because it looked like he were a mile offside. But then if he's not, to be fair to Danny Ward, he does normally hold his line pretty well. He's not too often offside in those kind of positions. And to be fair to him again, if anyone's in that position, you want it to be Danny Ward, don't you, to get his that is a Danny Ward goal. And that's good for us. The problem with Danny Ward is nothing to do with his ability, because I'm not one of these guys that say he doesn't put the effort in. Like, people kind of throw that about with Danny Ward. I don't think that's the case with him. I don't. I think his injuries are a massive problem. You can obviously question how they happen and how often they are. Absolutely. But when he is playing, and when he's pretty clinical when it comes to scoring. He is. His ratio is pretty good as well. It was a really good day at the office. One of those you just want to get through. And I'm all for more games. We're a new team. We're looking for confidence. We've been in a bad run of form. the more games where we can play together. And obviously that was the first time, I think, where you've had Hogg, Kane and Evans playing together as a midfield three. And to me, it looked fantastic. I'm not saying it's as good as what we had on Saturday because they were up against John Russell for starters. But it worked. The balance was all right. And I liked how Hogg drove it forward a little bit more, which got me laughing about the Danny Ward goal. So actually, Johnny Hogg gets it more or less on halfway line, drives it, smashes it forward 30 yards, turns around and passes it backwards to Kane. We didn't score from it in the end, but even still, okay, just driving it forward against 10, and he still has to pass backwards, and we did score from it. So again, it obviously was a perfect pass. He knew exactly what he was doing. But I just 2 positive games, things to build on. I think it's a nice time to have a bit of a break now. They can sit and kind of work on different things. It's not panic stations. It felt like going into Saturday, if we lost that, it would have been full-on panic stations. We've won 2 games in a row. It gives, to me, a bit of breathing room there for Duff. Not that they were going to get fired or anything like that, but they were just murmurs, weren't they? The people just getting a little bit turned off by it. He's won these 2 games. It buys him probably another 6 without those same regurgitations of I don't know, not disgust, but dislike of how the team's playing. So it couldn't have been a better week for us. 2 clean sheets. So great week for Town.
It was. The Tom Openda thing, by the way, I'm a big fan. I'm questioning really if I'm starting to wonder if we should have sent him out on loan. I know Duff was really reluctant and talked about him being in and around the first team, but he's not. So, if the kid's not ready to play League One football, then we should be trying to develop him. Look how it worked for Brodie Spencer. And I would suggest he's got more potential maybe even than Brodie's shown. So, I don't know whether he will or won't send him out. Maybe in January it'll be time for him to go out and get some proper first team man's football. But yeah, he was brilliant in his 20-minute spell. He was really good.
Hey guys, who would you give man at match to for Tuesday night?
Yeah, probably. Well, probably. I can't. I'm going to say this. Probably Ladapo or Bojan. I thought because they actually worked really hard, and in the first half we were a little bit. We lacked a bit of quality. They made some really good runs in the first half. We made some really good space in the first half, and a bit like Saturday, we turned down a few occasions to be able to stick the ball in. Well, we've got 2 blokes well over 6 foot. Get it in. Do you know what I mean? We turned down a few opportunities to cross it, and Headley does what Headley does, which is he always wants to get the ball and beat 4 men before he puts a cross in. Do you know what I mean? But I thought they worked really hard. I was a bit like you. You're desperate for Bojan to score, Nick. I was really pleased for Ladapo to score that goal because a bit like Iopenda's cameo, I thought Ladapo's cameo on Saturday was just as good and in some ways more important. That his, as you say, Killer, his movement to take the ball, cute little ball back into really good space with good pace for Kane to just run onto was real quality. So yeah, probably one of them 2, I would think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, mate. I'd probably say Ladapo, and I'm pleased for him because I wasn't his biggest fan. I nicknamed him Bouncy Castle before Saturday because everything's fucking bounced off him. He looked like he won a competition to play football. Like nothing worked for him. Nothing stuck with him. Couldn't win headers. Didn't shoot. Didn't link play up. Didn't really offer anything. And I'm wondering why on earth have we brought this guy in? And I expected a lot more, but over the last 2 games, he's come on more. Is it a fitness thing? Now he's adjusting a bit more up to the level. But I thought it was excellent. On yesterday. His energy is running. He looked a lot quicker, sharper. He even held the ball up a couple of times, brought people into play. Good work rate. So yeah, I was really pleased for him. And Bojan, I've always liked his movement off the ball and his footwork. I think he just needs to add that bit of physicality and just the quality of his finishing. But I think, like you said, Killer, if he gets a goal, maybe he'll kick on a little bit more. I think there's definitely a player there. So, but the problem is when you've got so many we've got all, like you said, we've got so many strikers all of kind of similar level of ability. So then what happens now Healy's back? What happens there? What would you say was our best front 2?
I just going back to that quickly, I'd also give Ladapo man of the match. I thought people are going to laugh at his finishing because some of his efforts were horrendous. They were, but the movement to get the chances on Tuesday were fantastic. Ladapo was, for me, the man of the match. And I think this should be a new segment. What we'll bring in, we'll talk about it afterwards, but man of the match, the town socials man of the match, because I don't think who actually got man of the match on Tuesday night from the sponsors. I don't know.
Warwick Ladapo. I don't know,
but it was just brilliant. And Radulevic's run to send Ladapo in was great as well.
Brilliant. Yeah,
it was a great. My front two, I love Josh Koroma, so he's got to start. He's got to start for me, and I think he needs Marshall in there with him. But then Ladapo has to be close to starting. If you're getting so many opportunities like he's getting on Tuesday night, how can you not play him? The same again with Radulovic. I thought Radulevic's effort on Saturday was probably man of the match for me as well. I really like him. I just think he's offering us more as a striker now than anyone else has this season. And then Ladapo on Tuesday night's kind of done what Radulovic did on Saturday. Radulovic kind of adapted a little bit. Sorry, guys, go on.
It was Longwhike, apparently, the player of the match, according to...
To be fair, he should have scored. The keeper made a right save from Longwike, I think, when
he did.
Went that left-hand side and pulled it back to him. He should have scored, to be fair. But no, I think Ladapo's looking good. And I know you can laugh at him again because of his howlers, but then people laughed at Theo Robinson, but he still managed to bag so many goals over the course of a season. But that's what it kind of reminds you of, doesn't it? Everything's perfect apart from the finish. But that's why he's with us. I don't know how you pick a top two. I don't know how you pick two of who we've got. I guess you'd have to go Healy and Koroma, but then because Marshall scored one goal so far. It's not very much.
I think Marshall's a starter. I think it's Marshall +1.
He's set a few goals up, hasn't he? He's assisted a few. It's hard, isn't it? But that's my point. That 20 people could argue 20 different. Well, maybe not 20, but do you know what I mean? But all have different viewpoints on it because everyone's kind of similar ability, but brings slightly different attributes.
Yeah, the Bojan thing. I mean, I said a few weeks ago, he didn't even look like a professional footballer. And you have to, you have to credit his mindset because it looked like it when Duff came in. It looked like he wasn't even going to get a look in. He didn't go on the pre-season tour. He looked like he were on his way, and maybe we've tried to offload him and not been able to, and then he's actually knuckled down. And he's had a bit of a chance to injury. Injuries have played into his hands to give him an opportunity, but the last two games he's looked decent and unlucky not to have at least bagged a couple himself in the last two games. So you have to give credit where credit's due, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And just going to this point from James here about Iapenda coming in, where's he going to get a start, guys? This is the problem because who's he replacing? Does he come in now? Hodge is out, but then you're saying it's probably going to be two defensive midfielders. It's probably going to be Oggy, isn't it? I love Iapenda. I love how positive he is. He never looks to play a pass backwards. He always looks to drive forward with the ball. And for such a tall guy, he's got decent speed on him. He's like Philip Billing, but on steroids. Do you know what I mean? He's finishing, he's shooting. I'm not really sure, but I think he's got at some point the bloke's got to be given a decent run in the side and a chance. I'm not sure where he fits. So I'm not sure who he replaces.
I don't know. It's again, Duff's got a few selection problems now. This is the thing when you win games, then you've got too many people to fit into just 11. I don't know. He's an asset, isn't he? He's just. I don't think I'd have him as a defensive midfielder personally. I think he's a 10. Then he's behind Evans and Wiles, regardless of how good he is. I'm with you guys, I think.
And Kane. Yeah, well, and that's what I mean. He didn't even start on Tuesday night, did he? So if he doesn't start in that game, then he is a fair step away from even being in the squad, let alone playing.
League Two loan in January for him. Unless we're beset by injuries, I think he needs to start week in, week out for 6 months. Yeah, he's useful to us in certain moments potentially, but I think him having 6 months, so then next summer can come back to us and just expect to start a bit like you say, like Spencer did. That's kind of what he needs for me. He needs to play week in, week out to see if he can hack it. And I don't mean that derogatory. I just mean that he's not played senior men's football in the lower leagues in England. So he needs to kind of get that experience to see if he can manage it. I think he will. I think he'll absolutely fly. But to me, he'd be sending him out on loan in January because there's a few people in front of him and he might actually be better than all of them. But I think it's going to take him too long to get the chance because of how many we have. So I think he's
There'll
going
be
to have to
takers
go
as well, but I think there'll be takers for him, Killer, as well. I think there might even be League One takers for him.
Yeah, the only thing I'd have against that is we used to send like Scott High out to. Did he go to League One? I think eventually. Like you're not guaranteed to start. I think at this level, I don't think you're given that. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't think. Or he's going to go to someone in League One at the bottom of the league. They're going to struggle and not going to have too much of the ball. And I don't think we need that. We've ruined centre midfielders for me a little bit over the last few years because we've been consistently in these kind of battles at the bottom of the table.
Yeah,
we've got strikers like Kian Harrott and other guys, like I say, Scott High was one of them. I thought Scott High had everything about him to be a good footballer. Ben Jackson, same kind of thing. I know he's not a centre midfielder, but I think he's a great footballer. He could be in the right system.
We sent Eccleston to Barrow and he's playing regular, but first team man's football, and by all accounts, he's absolutely thriving. So you're probably right, Ian. If we're going to send him, you want to send him somewhere where he's every chance of playing week in, week out.
Yeah, and in a system, guys, where they're going to win games, where they're not just off the ball positioning kind of. You don't want him just to get the runs in, the minutes in. You want him to be creating. You want him to be learning. That's why Spencer went up to Scotland. They were in a competitive Motherwell team, wasn't he? And it's positive.
Yeah,
he needs that kind of loan. Some loans can be a waste. Not all loans are equal. And again, style of football has to be considered. That's obviously, I guess, would that be Cartwright's job as football director to get that kind of to get it right? But there is an absolute player in there if he's put in the right system and he needs to.
Yeah, you're right. No point sending him out to practice his defensive shape. That's not what we want. We want him to be able to get into a team where he can get on the ball and do what it looks like he's good at, driving forward. As you say, Nick, he always picks a forward pass, doesn't he? So being in the team that wants to play in that way is probably the right thing. I don't think there'd be a shortage of takers. I really don't. I think you've every chance of finding a good home for him for 6 months in a place where you'd want him.
Yeah, team top end of League Two. He ended up at Bradford, something like that. Didn't do O'Brien any harm, did it?
I was just going to, you took the words out of his mouth.
To be fair, O'Brien, that's the exact kind of thing we want for him again, isn't it? O'Brien went there, dictated play a little bit because it was all class. That's the best case scenario. And if it's Bradford, then it's Bradford. It don't matter. He's going to be too good for us, I think, Upenda, in the not too distant future. I genuinely think he is. I'm not saying he's quite as good as Billing was when he first came through. I don't think that's would be fair for Billing, but I tell you what, he's not far behind. I think he just
Billing had the shooting ability, didn't he? So he just smashed one in from 40 yards, which I don't think Upenda's got that in him. But I just love the energy he has and the willingness to drive it forward. Every single time I've seen him, he's contributed something. Every time he's come on, he's had a positive performance, which you can't say about everyone, can you? He's pretty much been a shining light every time he's come on the pitch. So we just need to, you're right. We just need to give him some regular game time. And if we can't provide that, then he needs to go out on loan, doesn't he? But I mean, it's going to be a big January, I think, for us anyway. If we've got serious ambitions of pushing on, there's going to be a few coming in and a few coming out, isn't there? I think. But we'll see. We'll see how it develops. What do you think, guys, listening? Do you think that he should start? Who should he replace? Should he go out on loan? I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? And that's the downside of having a good squad, I suppose. There's going to be some people that miss out. But that's the way it is. I mean, overall, really good positive week and 2 clean sheets as well. We were starting to concede some sloppy goals, weren't we, on a regular basis. So to get 2 clean sheets, I think Pearson's made a big difference, as you said. I like Pearson. And he contributes with goals as well, occasionally, which is always useful to have. So, next talking point, we have Altogether Town meeting, Ian, didn't we? I think this week.
Yeah, there's one on Saturday before the
Saturday.
Bristol Rovers game. It's a morning one, so I'm expecting that there'll be some important people there. I don't know if Kevin's around. He might be at that point. So if anybody has anything to put potentially to Kevin or the other higher ups at Huddersfield Town, either let us know or HSA know, because they send a few representatives, and anything you put to them is normally put forward because it's either myself or Al, the chairman, that does it. So if there's anything, any town fan, you don't have to be a member of the HSA necessarily, although it helps if you are, and it's only £1 a year, so it's more than worth it. But any questions you ask us, we'll be willing to ask to try and get an answer on it. Doesn't mean we will, but to be fair to the club, they allow us to ask anything we want, and then which is good of them. It is decent dialogue when we go there. But it'd be interesting to see what the club has to say in regards to the stadium, because obviously since the last ATT, they're normally every quarter. Ken Davies come out and spoke about the Giants wanting their own stadium, and Kevin Nagle has obviously been very open about wanting to take control of the stadium for town. Yesterday or the day before, KDSL, KSDL, whichever it is, have released their accounts for the 22-23 season, I think it was. Well, it's not the season, but the financial year. And it's shown £1 million loss, I think, for the operating company. So one of the questions I think to be put forward will be that, in that how do town expect to be able to bridge that gap if they take on full running of the stadium with the liabilities of the losses with it, and stuff like that. But it'll be a week on Saturday. So if there's anything to ask, put it forward, and we'll see what we can do with it.
I think part of the plan is to have more concerts, definitely, isn't it, to try and raise venue. But then I noticed we've got, is it Stereophonics due to go? And I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few more in the not too distant future. But it's just trying to maximise, like, make the best out of it. And it's, it's hemorrhaging money. You do question how wise he is, Nagel, to purchase it when it's just leaking money like no one's business. But he's a smart guy. He'll have a plan, won't he, as to how he can. He's a successful businessman, so he'll have plans in place as to what to do with it. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting times, and I think it's exciting. I think it needs to take it over if we're going to take it on to the next level and really develop it and upgrade it and push on.
Well managed property and well managed real estate, no matter what sector it's in, it's worth money, it's capital, and it appreciates. An asset like property always appreciates. He's just got to try and get right. And with respect to KDSL, I think I saw a comment saying they made 60 grand out of them. I mean, how have they only made 60 grand out of hosting a Muse concert at the state? I can't even understand how they've made so little money from that project. So, I think Kev will probably have a different dynamic in terms of how it's run, Nick, I think. And it also needs some major investment. So, the way that he can invest that and make sure we get the right return from that investment is probably going to be it's much easier to do, I guess, when you've got whole control and you've got, in fairness to KDSL, they've still got three parties, all with very different agendas now. It's got even worse, hasn't it, in the last 12 months. One bloke who doesn't want to be there, one bloke who wants it, and the council have got absolutely no Scooby what's going on. So, it was always going to be a struggle, but yeah, he needs that asset. And if he's ever going to part with the club in future years, should we ever get back to the promised land of the Premier League, which I guess is his exit strategy, he's going to need to own it, because that was part of the problem Dean had, I bet, when he came to place it, when he wanted to sell it. The ground, the inability to control day-to-day match revenues and other income streams. I mean, what have you got? Yeah, you basically got a bunch of players and the IP, the IP of the property, the IP of the club. So yeah, I hope it gets sorted soon, because if we're making £1 million a year loss, we're not investing in plant and equipment, and we're only making 65 grand out of an event like Muse. It's not being run well for me.
No. Yeah, the whole thing needs looking at. The whole thing needs modernising. All the facilities need changing. All the things behind the scenes, like down to generators and all that kind of thing, needs repair. It just needs a bit of TLC. And then when you start developing it, you start getting the best out of it. And the whole thing, including merchandise sales, food and drink sales, toilet facilities, everything on a match day, pre-match entertainment, in-ground, food and drink. Like, you go outside. I mean, I'd imagine, I don't know if the club gets some kind of income from food and drink stalls outside the ground. I don't know. But one of the things, like after the game, you come out, which is at tea time, and you're starving hungry. Everyone's buggered off. There's nobody around. There's chances where they can make a lot more money, I think, that they're not utilising. But I think he needs control of it, doesn't he? Because, like you say, who's going to buy a football club where they've got absolutely no say in the stadium? It doesn't make any sense. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, we're talking about merchandise, Nick. You haven't mentioned our.
I was just going to address a couple of these comments and then, but no, go on, let's do it, mate. Go on.
I was using it as a segue. That's what we call it in the industry, a segue.
Get it out, mate. Go on.
Yeah. So that, there you go. Look.
There you go. We've got a signed shirt from the 2004-5 season. So
we're not sure. We're not sure. We're such great fans. We've absolutely no idea what year it is.
Well, professional as ever, guys. But I think with the signatures on there, we've got the likes of Nat Brown, Danny Schofield. Who else have we got on there, mate? We've got.
Who was number 46? Come on. There's number 46 on there. Anthony Lloyd.
I thought it's the shirt from the season we got promoted at the Millennium, but I'm not. It could be the one after, to be fair. But I thought it might be the shirt from that.
I don't know.
But what we're doing, guys, because we want to increase subscriptions on YouTube because it helps us out massively in terms of running this thing. And so what we thought we'd do is a bit of a giveaway. So when we reach 1,000 subscriptions, which is a kind of a magic number, we'll give that one lucky person the signed shirt. So we're up to, I think, a few hundred at the moment. So we're still quite a way to go. But if anyone's listening who isn't subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you please subscribe to it, that would be doing us a massive favour. So I'm just having a look through some of these comments just to see what people. Yeah, Ruffles and Turton. I don't know. I mean, Turton, I thought he did all right last night when he came on. I mean, he channeled his inner Jordi Alba, didn't he? He raced down that right hand side and whipped across in. Danny Ward. The only criticism I've got of Ward is he seems to miss gilt-edged chances, but then score really difficult ones. And to me, it were harder to miss that header off the post. But yeah, I thought Turton, when he's come on and last season, I've always found him to be decent. I've always thought he was all right, and he obviously struggled with that injury. He was out for so long. It's a bit of a shame, really. But when you've got likes of Sorensen, he's not gonna be replacing him, is he? So, and Ruffles looks completely out of favour, doesn't he? So I don't think we're going to see them here much longer, unfortunately. I mean, what's
collateral damage? It's a collateral damage of the system Duff wants to play. They don't really fit into it, and that's only natural. Not all managers can use all former players, all players, and they have to move some of them on. We obviously been relegated in the summer, and there weren't, I guess, too many takers for our players, because if you actually watch them the last couple of years, there's probably not too much positive to see. So it's going to take us a while to churn and turn. And I think with Turton and Ruffles, they just don't fit. I like both of them. I think Warnock got them playing particularly okay. It's just, again, it's the way Duff plays football. But then, like you say, guys, I forgot about Radulovic not going on the pre-season tour. He looked like he was cast aside. I know they said he was. Did they say he was injured at that point? Or they'd be better served at home, getting ready. Whereas to everybody else, it looked like he just didn't fancy him. And now he's still wearing the 9 shirt and starting in league games on a Saturday. So you can never say never. It's just at this point, it looks like they don't fit the way Duff wants to play football.
They're both on the list of people whose contracts are up in the summer as well anyway. So you would think if there's any room to get them off the wage bill at Christmas, they'll be gone, as you would think, wouldn't you? But we've a lot, we've a lot of people that are out of contract in the summer this time as well. Not just them guys, but a lot. A lot of these experienced big wages. So I can see it was an attempt to re-sign one or two of those, but I can't see Ruffles and Turton being on that list, and I can't see either of them being in the first team, bar an injury crisis.
Dare we say rebuild due in the summer? Everyone out of contract. Looks that way. Right, lads, we're going to wrap it up, I think. We've done a good hour there. Lots to talk about. Lots of positivity. Thank God. Thank you very much for getting all your questions in, your comments. As I'm always going to plug it, guys, if anyone wants to come on here and join us, come on. Like, we don't bite. I mean, if I can come on and talk utter shite for an hour, you don't need to be afraid of coming on here. Look at the quality that you're up against. But that's what we want to encourage. It's a town social. We want everyone to have a say. We want everyone to get involved. That's what it's all about. So if anyone wants to, send us a DM on social media, and we'll get you on here and chatting with us. Very, very quickly, Bristol, we're not going to chat before then. So Any predictions, guys, before we go?
Well, you would hope we're going to carry some of that momentum into the game. Bristol I was looking; they've got 13 points in 10th place, but they have won their last 2 games. Interestingly, who was those? Shall I find out who those were against? I probably should have done this beforehand, shouldn't I? So they beat Burton 3-1, and then Charlton 3-2 in the prior game, and Charlton are playing well. You know, Charlton have got a good team, so they're 6 decent points in their last 2 games. So they're not going to roll over, I think that's for sure.
2-0 Town. I'll go 2-0. I think we found a bit of form, similar to what we've done against Barnsley, and we'll go from there. I'll go 2-0 Town.
I'll say 2-0 as well, mate. I think Hoggy will come in for Hodge. I think rest of the team probably.
I just think we're overdue a draw. We're going to have to draw something at some point, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I'd take a win and then draw at Wrexham, but who knows? But let's hope we continue it, guys. A bit of positivity for once, and it's nice to have a couple of clean sheets, couple of wins after such a wretched run. Let's hope it's the start of a turnaround and we can get on a bit of a winning run. My name's Nick Barlow. Thanks for listening. Joining me has been Ian Kilroy and Gaz K. Thanks for getting involved, guys, and yeah, we'll see you all next time. Up the town.